The sound of cruel laughter echoed through the marble lobby of Pinnacle Tower, each giggle cutting deeper than the last. Maya Rodriguez clutched her worn portfolio tighter against her chest, her knuckles white as paper. The designer heels clicking past her seemed to mock every step she'd taken to get here. 3 buses, 2 job rejections this week, and now this. She could feel the stares burning into her second-hand blazer, could hear the whispered comments about the girl who clearly didn't belong in their world of privilege and power. Did she seriously think she could just walk in here looking like that? The voice belonged to a woman in a pristine Chanel suit, her manicured finger pointing directly at Maya. Security should have stopped her at the door. Maya's cheeks burned with humiliation. She'd saved for months to buy this interview outfit, had practiced her responses until they were perfect, had dreamed of this moment since she was 12 years old, watching her mother clean offices in buildings just like this one. But now, standing in the cold marble wasteland of corporate America's elite, she felt smaller than she ever had in her 23 years. That's when she heard footsteps approaching her, not the hurried clicks of dismissal she'd grown accustomed to, but steady, purposeful steps that seemed to cut through the toxic atmosphere like a knife. Maya looked up to see a tall man in an impeccably tailored navy suit walking directly toward her. His dark eyes focused intently on her face, not her clothes. "Miss Rodriguez?" His voice was warm, completely at odds with the Arctic reception she'd received so far. "I'm Daniel Chen, CEO of Pinnacle Industries. I believe you're here for our marketing director interview." The lobby fell silent. Maya felt every eye in the room shift between her and the man who just introduced himself as one of the most powerful executives in the city. She nodded, not trusting her voice to remain steady. "Excellent." Daniel's smile was genuine, reaching his eyes in a way that made Maya's shoulders relax for the first time all morning. "I apologize for keeping you waiting. Shall we head up to my office?" As they moved toward the elevators, Maya caught fragments of shocked whispers. "That's Daniel Chen. He never comes down to the lobby. Did he just call her by name?" But what happened next left the entire lobby speechless. The elevator doors opened just as one of the women who'd been mocking Maya stepped forward, clearly expecting to ride up with the CEO. Daniel turned to face the small crowd that had gathered, his expression shifting from warmth to something much colder. "I'd like to address something before we go up," he said, his voice carrying easily across the space. "I just witnessed several of you making disparaging comments about Miss Rodriguez here, apparently based on assumptions about her background or financial status." Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. She wanted to disappear, to sink through the marble floor and never face this moment. But then she felt something unexpected. Daniel's hand gently taking hers, his fingers intertwining with hers in a gesture of solidarity that sent shockwaves through the crowd. "Let me be crystal clear," Daniel continued, his voice steady and unwavering while he held Maya's hand with obvious pride. "Miss Rodriguez graduated summa cum laude from Northwestern with a degree in marketing and communications. She's fluent in 3 languages, has volunteer experience with 5 different non-profits, and created a social media campaign that increased local business revenue by 37% in her hometown. Her portfolio contains some of the most innovative marketing concepts I've seen in 15 years in this industry." Maya stared at him in amazement. He'd clearly done his research, knew her accomplishments better than some of her own family members. But more than that, he was choosing to stand beside her, literally and figuratively, in front of people who clearly mattered in his professional world. "What's more," Daniel said, his grip on Maya's hand tightening slightly, "she took 3 buses to get here today, not because she had to, but because she's been saving every penny to help pay for her younger brother's medical treatments. She could have used that money for a new suit or a car service. but she chose family over appearances. That tells me more about her character than any designer label ever could. The woman in the Chanel suit had gone pale, her earlier smugness replaced by obvious discomfort. Others were studying their shoes or suddenly finding their phones very interesting. "Now," Daniel said, his tone returning to its earlier warmth as he looked at Maya, "I want to make something clear to you, Miss Rodriguez. The way you were treated down here is not representative of the values we hold at Pinnacle Industries. We judge people on their merit, their character, and their potential. And from what I've seen of your work and witnessed of your grace under pressure, you possess all three in abundance." Maya felt tears threatening to spill, but they weren't tears of humiliation anymore. For the first time in months of job searching, of being looked over and looked down upon, someone saw her worth. Someone was willing to stand up for her when she couldn't find the strength to stand up for herself. As the elevator doors closed behind them, Daniel released her hand but maintained the warmth in his expression. "I'm sorry you had to experience that," he said quietly. "I've been working to change the culture here, but clearly there's still work to be done." "Thank you," Maya managed, her voice thick with emotion. "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did," Daniel replied firmly. "Because that's what decent human beings do for each other. We stand beside those who need support, especially when they're being treated unfairly." The interview that followed was unlike anything Maya had experienced. Daniel asked thoughtful questions about her ideas, her vision, her goals. He listened when she spoke, took notes on her suggestions, and by the end of their conversation, Maya realized something remarkable had happened as she'd forgotten to be nervous. She was just being herself, sharing her passion for marketing, her ideas for connecting with diverse communities, her dreams of using business as a force for positive change. "I'd like to offer you the position," Daniel said as their conversation wound down. "Not because of what happened downstairs, but because you're exactly what this company needs. Someone who understands that business success and human decency aren't mutually exclusive." 6 months later, Maya's innovative campaigns had increased company revenue by 22% and earned recognition from 3 industry publications. But more importantly, she'd spearheaded the company's new mentorship program, partnering with local colleges to provide internships and career guidance to first-generation college students. During the program's launch event, Daniel found Maya setting up welcome materials in the same lobby where she'd once faced Mockery. "How does it feel to be back down here?" he asked with a smile. Maya looked around at the diverse group of young people arriving for the event, students who looked like her, who'd taken buses and trains and borrowed cars to get here, who carried dreams bigger than their bank accounts. "It feels like coming full circle," she said. "But this time, I'm the one making sure no one stands alone." Daniel nodded, remembering that day 6 months ago when he'd chosen to extend his hand instead of looking the other way. Sometimes the most powerful thing a person can do is simply choose to stay beside someone who needs support, to hold their hand proudly when the world tries to tear them down. As Maya welcomed the first group of students, her voice strong and confident, Daniel realized that the best business decisions aren't always about profit margins or market share. Sometimes they're about recognizing human potential and having the courage to defend it, even when everyone else is looking the other way.